Video podcasting from the Catholic Underground is made possible by an anonymous donation and by continued prayer and financial support from viewers like you. Please consider donating by going to CatholicUnderground.com/donate.
From the Catholic Underground.
Well, hello there. You've managed to find, once again, the CatholicUnderground.com podcast, which is your Catholic guide to the digital continent. I'm Father Chris Decker, priest of the Diocese of Baton Rouge. This is episode number 164, and joining me, as they sometimes do, especially with bells on, we got Father Ryan Humphreys, a priest of the Diocese of Alexandria in Louisiana. Hello, Father Ryan. How are you this fine, well, we won't say day. Well, it is a day. You can't,
It's what it is. Flowers grew. It's a good thing. Hello, world.
That's right. Hi, Father. And also joining us from Canada, from Toronto, Roberto Veri. Hello, Roberto.
Hello, everyone. Happy 164.
That's right. It's hard to believe we've made it to 164 twice. Because for those of you following along with the home game, we said episode 164 was last week, but it actually wasn't. It was episode 163. Mainly because
people writing in, and oh dear.
That's right, and it's true. I can't count, no matter how hard I try. One kid in China could count. He counted 2 kidneys, but he also counted the fact he didn't have any money for an iPad 2, and apparently his kidney was worth an iPad 2, and then some, and a laptop as well. We haven't sold any of our kidneys to bring you this podcast, but I don't know how it... Would you sell your kidney for a piece of computer technology?
No. Unless it was a digital kidney.
So you'd replace an analog kidney with a digital kidney, Father?
As long as it had Bluetooth.
A Bluetooth kidney?
Well, why not? I mean, it'd be fantastic. Can you imagine you'd just be able to sync up with your liver and it would know what was going on. It'd be awesome. I'd like to get all Bluetooth organs.
Roberto, you actually may have some Bluetooth organs, don't you?
Bluetooth organs?
Yeah.
How so?
Well, I think I like the idea that you could sync them up with other organs. I think that would be great.
Yeah, but I don't know about selling. I would have held out for. I would have thought about maybe a MacBook for it, but I'd only have thought about it for the kidney. I'd only have thought about it for a second and going, I don't know, a kidney, eh?
Because it seems to me that God gave us 2 for a reason.
Yeah. In case one kicks out on you, or somebody else might really, really need one.
That's right.
Yeah.
Or maybe this was the Lord's way of saying you may need an iPad 2 at some point.
You may need a MacBook at some point, so here's an extra kidney.
With your kidney if you don't have an iPad. I mean,
that's right, exactly. Now,
when you have 2 kidneys, you need to pair them together, so the kidneys to work together. There's already some kind of God-given way that happens, but I mean, Bluetooth is obviously more efficient.
It's like a natural Bluetooth. That's great.
We don't have a lot of surplus to requirement parts in our body, I don't think.
I don't think so either.
No. You have your appendix, but I mean, largely that's kind of like having a PC on your desk. I mean, it just sits there, and sometimes it breaks.
If only Josh were here, he'd have your goat. He'd have the rest of you too, not just your goat. Yeah. Yeah, one of the things that we do seem to have in surplus are our feasts of the Ascension, because depending on where you live, you may have celebrated it once, or not yet, or twice.
Yeah, I inadvertently said the wrong prayer today, so even though we haven't had the Ascension yet, I prayed the Friday after the Ascension prayer this morning to a group of very confused parishioners who seemed befuddled by why I was saying a prayer that was not in their missalettes, which are basically like their lifeline.
That's right.
When they come into the church.
Yeah, the missalette really is like a kidney.
A Bluetooth kidney. You see, the missalette is the same thing. I think this is clear.
Yeah.
Where are the Jesuits at America Magazine? They need to get me up, and we'll write an article.
I think that we were trying to come up with the episode title a little bit earlier. I think Bluetooth Kidney that also would be a good band name.
Why not? I mean, I could see a punk band. I could see ska. I could see like an Iggy Pop band that did nothing but play Iggy Pop songs.
There you go. Exactly.
It might be a good band name, but they probably wouldn't be a very good band.
That's right.
One of those. Well, what a great name! But then they play every night at a different venue in the same 2,000 person town. Well, let me ask, why all the confusion about what's going on
with the Ascension?
Yes, with the Ascension. Yeah.
Well, Father Ryan, this is one of your favorite feasts, so why don't you chime in?
Yeah, I love this feast. And in fact, it makes me sad there's a 3-year cycle of scriptures because you only get to hear, I will be with you always, even unto the end of days in one of the 3 years. And to me, that's one of the best scriptures that we have. It's one of the most just gorgeous scriptures that blasts its way into hearts and souls. But the Feast of the Ascension is always on a Thursday. Mm-hmm. But back around the end of the Second Vatican Council, a lot of bishops were of the notion that we should commute holy days of obligation because they are too stressful. There's too much obligation laid upon parishioners. Now, you could understand that when you start thinking about the winter time. You know, you have All Saints, Immaculate Conception, Christmas, New Year's, Epiphany. You know, all these laid on top of one another, and that's a lot of energy. And as the priests of us know, last year with Christmas falling on a Saturday, I had 7 masses in 3 days. It was pretty exhausting.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Ascension, though, is always out on its own, you know, in March or April or May. And so I've never understood why the bishops felt like, you know, it's almost 6 months away from the busy season, quote, so to speak, of holy days. There would be a problem with asking people to come to Mass. And also, of course, you know, Ascension is 40 days after Easter. So what you kind of get is you get the 40 days of Lent are made up for by the 40 days of rejoicing. And now we start looking to soteriology, to eternity, to salvation. And you have 10 more days, you know, a full 10 days further of celebration and looking forward to the great Feast of Pentecost. Mm-hmm. And when you commute the day, you lose all of that. The symbolic numbers go away, and you just kind of end up with, you know, well, we got to get this day done somewhere, so let's just dump it here, you know, or there.
So I guess in all due deference to the U.S. bishops, it's an opportunity for people to be able to make this holy day of obligation.
Well, I think that the reason that's given by most bishops is we want people to experience the particular mystery of faith that the Ascension celebrates, and the assumption, I guess, is that most people simply don't come to holy days of obligation. So let's just take away the obligation.
Yeah, which is kind of a sad assumption. I mean, it almost gives you the way to fall back on. Well, you know, maybe I shouldn't expect a little bit more of myself.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, that's definitely been the way of things, though. With the nobody talks about the no meat on Friday anymore. Of course, the bishops in England and Wales kind of have started working with that again. But most of the things that define Catholics in years past, the work and the effort and the fast days and the feast days and the ember days and the 40 hours devotions and the novenas, most of that has gone by the wayside, and there's not much discipline left in the faith, you know. Mm-hmm. And so you kind of wonder, why would people think they should go to a Mass that's inconvenient, whether that happens to be a Sunday or a holy day, you know.
Now in Canada, is the Ascension transferred to the Sunday?
Yes, it is largely. You know, it's the same situation there. It's like, well, we'll move it to the Sunday because then everybody's at Mass, and you know, we'll have a chance to you know, to celebrate and reflect here. But I also kind of think that an extraordinary day, like to have it on you know, on the proper day, is the kind of situation that gets people talking about what it is, why we do it. We identify. You know, ourselves as Catholic and celebrate it. Mm-hmm. You know, and it's also one of those situations where if somebody has not practiced for a long time or is not active in the church, or you're trying to explain to other people, well, what exactly is this and why do you observe it? That's a perfect cultural event, mm-hmm. which I think you know, becomes eroded by moving it over to, you know, the convenient day off sort of thing.
And I mean, you know, it is my day off, so I'm part of me is happy that it moves to Sunday. Otherwise, you know, I'd probably get a day off eradicated on my Thursday. But
it's a lot of work, sure, yeah.
Yeah, and it is a lot of work, but I think sometimes we forget that the holiness that we're called to is hard work. making those sacrifices to get the kids in the car on Thursday evening to go to the Mass. There's an importance to that. There's an importance to being able to teach kids that listen, children, this is not easy, and mom and dad are having a hard time with it, but we do make this a priority because we want to be holy. We want to teach you holiness, and there's something to be said about that, I think, rather than just to kind of group it into the Sunday observance. I don't know. I'm not sure. Yeah. And, of course, it's not uniform either, because some bishops don't observe Ascension Sunday.
The transformation, yeah.
Yeah, that's right, the transference, as it were.
Yeah, that's
they
better,
transfer it back, yeah.
Right.
So it's one of those Catholics of all makes and models, no matter what quasi-political structure you align yourself with in the church, a lot of people wonder why, does that happen? So let us know what you think. Backchat at CatholicUnderground.com. Is it Ascension Sunday in your diocese? And if it is, surely you must reckon why that is. Let us know. Backchat at CatholicUnderground.com. Well, there are new embed buttons that are going to clog up your blog posts even more, as if it wasn't enough to have the Facebook like and the retweet button. Google is actually launching its own button, and then Twitter is launching yet another button. And I'm sure there are going to be WordPress widgets that are making this happen and everything. Do you click those buttons, Roberto? I mean, I know you being a producer, you've got to kind of keep your finger on the pulse of where to get information, and one of those places is the internet. And do you actually retweet things and Facebook like things, and would you use a Google +1 thing?
No, I just kind of hang close to people that do. Like normally, if I ever thought to go and push a button like that, there's usually somebody beside me yelling out what I already need to know, or I'm going to be privy to it because enough people around me do it. But I myself, no, I'm just going to invest in Yandex.
That's right.
See what happens. Yeah, the long tail stuff. No, I don't. I'm not a big button pusher.
Yeah.
Facebook fanatic, but not a big button pusher otherwise.
So you don't drive people to your page by Facebook liking things.
BBC.
Oh, like
the BBC page, I'll put on some documentaries. Like I might do that to say, here, listen to this radio station, or this is a really interesting documentary. But that's about it. That's about it. Not so much.
And then if you're in the United States, I can't watch most of the stuff on the BBC iPlayer anyway. So I see them and I go, "Oh, that's a nice picture," but I can't do anything about it.
That's fun to do too. Like drive people to Hulu in Canada, and then nobody here can watch Hulu. And they're like, "What'd you do that for? I can't watch it." Well,
it's just a sick trick, is what that was. Father Ryan, are you going to be putting these on your CamptyCatholicChurch.com page?
Maybe the Google +1, but not likely.
Because you use Google Reader, correct? You use Google Reader.
I use Google Reader for everything. But this is not actually a Google Reader kind of thing. What this actually does is it basically it takes that page and it bumps it up in Google's search results. And so it does have a social kind of thing, but given that nobody uses Google Buzz anymore, and it's very difficult to figure out who your friends are on Google and who you follow and all that kind of nonsense, it's confusing what it's going to do, but basically it's going to bump up the rating so everybody benefits from the +1 button, not just my friends.
I see.
Now the Twitter button I will certainly put, because all that does is it gives you the same code you see on Twitter.com where you say follow
I see.
at Digital Catholic. You can just put that on your webpage, and then they don't have to leave your webpage to follow a link. They can just click follow the people associated. And we'll probably put that on Catholic Underground, I imagine.
You can bet.
Because it's just, it's not a retweet. It's not a post by post thing. It's going to be, if you like this person, here's how to follow them without having to go anywhere else to do it.
That isn't, now that seems to me to be useful.
Yeah, I think.
Rather than having, of course, a lot of people have these third-party Twitter applications too that have the follow thing built in.
Right. And they will have to. You still have to sign in to Twitter in your browser. If you're using a third-party app, it won't necessarily help you with it that much. But this is a great little thing. You might as well expose it. Why not make it out there? Why not make it available?
That's exactly right. Yeah. Hey, why not? So we'll make sure that makes it to the Catholic Underground page, and you can click follow. A lot of you are following us already at Cath Underground, and that's a good way to make sure you're getting the latest in our tweets, and also whenever we have a live program. For example, the one that you're listening to right now via podcast is also broadcast live every week, and so if you follow at Cath Underground, you'll be able to get that. So you'll be able to click the follow button on CatholicUnderground.com and .tv to be able to do that. Now, there's something that everybody's following, even though we say that we aren't, and that's the WWDC. And
Nerdvana.
it's not a wrestling federation so much as it is the one of the premier Steve Note events, where the latest and greatest Apple things come to the fore. And as Father Ryan says, it is a kind of Nerdvana, for those who follow that logo with the bite taken out of it. Are you looking forward to it, Father? Because I know the rumors are threefold, correct?
Right. Well, this is the only time that Steve Jobs speaks anymore. He doesn't do Macworld Expo.
That's right. He's being flown in special, like a tuna.
That's right. Cold pressed. No, but this is the generally a special announcement. And of course, we're expecting an iPhone 5 at some point. We're expecting an iPad 3 at some point. But other than special occasions, this is the only time we know that Steve Jobs is going to address us all. And so nerds like me are literally just bubbling with excitement. Now we're
salivating even.
Oh yes, the Skinner or no, the dogs, Pavlov and his dogs
Pavlov.
are all set up. I'm ready to pay my Apple tax. I'm just itching to give him the money. No, it's almost certain that we'll see the next version of the operating system, OS X Lion, which will be distributed, I understand, through the App Store and not via DVD. So when you're ready to update, you push a button and poof, it updates to every computer that you're signed into the App Store with.
Wow.
And so, you can, Father Chris, you have like 96 computers there in your room.
True.
You should be able to update all of them just by signing into the App Store with your username, and it should update all those computers right there for you. We don't have any idea of the pricing. We don't know exactly what features they're going to be, but we know that the operating system for Mac and the operating system for iPhone, iPads, it's called iOS, there's going to be a lot of shared features between them. So we're expecting to see the next version of that as well. And then, of course, everybody is just pining away to know what in the world iCloud is. We know what the logo looks like. We've got a bazillion rumors. We know we've known for about 2 months that Apple bought iCloud.com.
I bet it's a cupcake factory.
Yeah, but it's now called CloudMe.com.
Ugh, what?
To do.
CloudMe?
I don't know. It's not my job.
Yuck.
But iCloud is expected to be, Google and Amazon both will launch these music lockers. You upload your music, you put anything you want. The rumor is that iCloud will be something like that. And also that all the rest of Mobileme, calendars, contacts, all that stuff, will somehow be tied into a hopefully magical, but more likely, moderate to mediocre presentation.
Now, supposedly, this music iCloud 6000 is supposed to, the rumor is that it's going to be like $25 a year. Do you think that means that my Mobileme subscription of $99 a year is going to go down?
I think the rumors are that Mobileme will become completely free, and that iCloud, if you want the service, you can pay for it.
I see.
But if you don't, you won't. And of course, with data caps,
Mm-hmm.
In the United States, data caps in places like Canada, you can't afford to be on 3G out there just downloading 2 gigs of your own music.
Yeah.
While you're riding down the interstate, that's a lot of money if you don't have unlimited data.
Now, Roberto, you are an avid musician. You listen to a lot of music. I would venture to say you probably play some of it.
Poorly, but I appreciate music. Yeah.
And so would something like this be useful for you? I mean, I've got a large music library, but I really, to be honest with you, and Father Ryan can tell you this, I listen to about the same 30 things over and over.
Well, if I turn my camera over here, you'll see I have vinyl in one of these in one of these compartments over there, and iTunes is something that I've been using for the convenience for maybe the past couple of years. So I'm slow to come to any sort of music technology. as it arrives. In fact, I thought iCloud was going to be an operating system for Windows.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be this whole operating system like that's going to be used for PC computers. So useful. I don't know. I'd have to get substantial word of mouth about it before I'd take a swing at it. And it's sort of in the way that I'm getting now about the new operating systems coming out from Apple, where everybody's sort of saying this is going to be it. This is where everybody is going to totally reconsider PC forever and then come over because these operating systems are just so wonderful. But yeah, like even amongst my friends that are considering changing computers, myself included, changing systems, are kind of rubbing their hands together, going expecting great things.
Yeah. And now, do y'all have the Amazon cloud music service for Amazon CA?
I don't know.
Because
I can look.
Because Amazon launched something like that here in the States, and I think I might have accidentally subscribed to the 2-month, 20-month free or whatever thing, and I haven't used it since. Because I'm an iTunes user, and so all the stuff I would download from Amazon Music just goes directly into my iTunes, and so I don't even think about it.
It's just faster. I also go to Pitchfork to see what's new in music, and then from there I link to iTunes, over to iTunes, and bingo. So so I don't know. We'll have to see. We'll have to see how they figure it out so that I can leapfrog over to the seller and pick up what I like.
That's right.
From the critic. Yeah.
That's right. The AC/DC 68 is a good year. Yeah, it would be that's kind of my clincher too. Is how does it integrate? How does it flow?
Exactly. Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see. Yeah. One of the things that flows is the fact that NBC, and this completely blindsided me. I didn't even watch this. I don't really watch the Today Show, but I didn't even watch the Today Show. But apparently, who knew? Archbishop Dolan leads the folks on the Today Show and from NBC on a tour of the Vatican and to an audience with the Holy Father. This never happens. I was a little jealous, Father.
Yeah, it was moderately shocking because Pope John Paul should say, was very, very out and about. He wanted to be around people. He liked interviews. He loved being, having people around him all the time.
Right.
Pope Benedict is much less interested in just being surrounded by people every minute of every day. And but in the last few months, he has really gone out of his way to be very public. He's done that television interview with the Italian media that was such a big deal. And so he made arrangements to be, it was a very brief kind of thing, but to be on the national media. And of course, Cardinal Dolan, it was rocking this white hat with the black band around it. It was fly. I know that's a word from the 80s, but or the 90s, but it was fly. It was very, very hip hat. And he was basically just laying it out and saying, this is how it is, and that's how it is. And if you don't like it, what's your own problem? But this is how it is. And of course, the American media is falling in love with him. At the same time, they despise what he says. They just can't deny the fact he's a genuine and an intellectual man who makes an awful lot of sense.
Yeah,
and
kind of like John the Baptist. They loved to hear him talk, but they hated what he was saying. Yeah,
definitely. And you could see the people on NBC squirm.
Yeah,
But it was a brilliant, interesting interview, and of course the tour was just fantastic. I haven't watched much of it. Some little bits and some little chunks here and there. It's very hard to get shows like the Today Show, though. It's very hard to download those anywhere.
I noticed over on Gloria.tv, which is where Catholic Underground also lives, they had someone that uploaded the Today Show. So until NBC takes it down, head over to Gloria.tv and take a look at the interview. They did have parts of it on MSNBC's website.
Yeah.
Because I imagine this is very good press for NBC as well.
Absolutely.
Because really nobody gets to see the Holy Father. Nobody.
Right.
And then there's Matt Lauer, handing him a box of something. Who knows?
This is chocolate.
This is chocolate. It's American chocolate. We know, and you've got the Bavarian cream. We've got American chocolate.
This is a Cadbury egg. It's full of chocolate,
which isn't even American anyway.
It comes from the most factory taste, and it tastes basically like plastic.
No, it's like those little generic gold coins by Palmer. Here are some.
These are euros. We brought them especially for you.
The Cadbury egg?
Yeah.
Well, you've been eating them. No, like if you get in a car accident, you set them on fire and throw them on the road. Like that's you've been eating them. No, they're for Easter car accidents.
That was so overwhelmingly American, and I was like, yes, something that tastes like plastic, looks like plastic, and is mass produced.
And yet we'll eat more of it, right?
I buy them every Easter. It's like you got to. You have to have the hollow bunny and a Cadbury egg.
They may be flares in Canada, but they's good eating down here.
Oh, man.
In the United States.
Down here, we got nothing.
I've got to jumpstart my children.
That's right.
Boom. That's a grenade. That's a sugar grenade to jumpstart kids.
That's very true.
Blood-ow.
It's lethal at 30 yards.
Man.
Yeah, only on the Catholic Underground we'd be talking about road flares / Cadbury eggs. That's how we do. You know how we do.
What can you say?
Yeah, exactly. Now, did you see this on the news too? That there is a fetus with a Facebook page. I have to say, I myself personally, I liked the idea. The CNN blog, all the people on the CNN blog that comment, sometimes intellectually and sometimes not, said that it violates Facebook's terms of service because you have to be at least 13 to post a Facebook page. But the idea behind it was Ellie and her husband Matt wanted to announce their pregnancy. And so what they did is they developed a Facebook page, which they allowed to. There was a quick and inclusive method, and all of their family and friends are on Facebook. So that's what they did. And so the little girl Mariah, the fetus, the unborn child, actually they have the sonogram on the Facebook page and already plenty of friends. And they're hoping to keep the page going so that their daughter, once she's born, once she's outside of the womb, she actually can post with her own hand, I don't know. What do you think? Is this in poor taste? Is it in good taste?
I think it's in good taste. I mean, I think it's something that's good. It's fun. It's useful. I don't find it in any way offensive or it's a little awkward. It does violate Facebook's terms of service, but I mean, frankly, the fact that Mother Teresa has a page and she's been dead for 12 years, I think, I mean,
we'll try and get her anyway.
Unless she's a voter in Florida, that pretty much is a problem.
Right.
So, what are you going to do?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you?
I think that if the parents did it, it's actually a very sweet thing. That yes, we've got this and we're pregnant and here's the feast, stuff like that. Very brave thing to do too, because you're really sticking your neck out to get all sorts of opinion thrown at you in this medium. So, wow, it's a brave thing, but at the core, just a really, really sweet, wonderful way of saying, hey, we're pregnant, we're having a baby.
One of the things that strikes me too is it seems to be an awful early age to introduce social media to a child. I mean, because this girl, assuming she takes to it, assuming Mariah is born and gets the whole craze as to why mommy and daddy did this, she's pretty much hooked on Facebook, and she's not even born yet.
Yeah, this is going beyond the shots of here's you when you were 3 months old naked.
That right, exactly.
There's your little thing. It's like, no, like,
yeah,
you're on Facebook as a fetus.
Yeah, here's you as a sonogram. That's right. And look how many friends you had.
Here's Mariah as a fetus.
What a strange high 8 movie or Super 8 movie that would be.
Yeah, I don't think it's necessarily a problem though. Because, Facebook is such an unknown quantity. And you're talking about, I mean, the kid will have to be at least 4 to 5 years old, probably closer to 7, in order to be able to type, I mean, anything, even to put sentences together in any kind of meaningful way. So you're talking about 8 years, who knows what developments will take place. And then, too, the parents don't have any obligation to necessarily turn the blog over to her or turn the Facebook page over to her. They can just dissolve it and let her start a new one. I don't think there's necessarily a problem with that. I think it could become a problem, though, if the parents themselves become obsessive about, this is our project we've been working on. This is your baby book. We've been working on it for 6 years. You'll
love it.
Start posting. You're killing me, kid. Post. That could be a problem.
Yeah.
For a multitude of reasons.
Yeah, that's like Balloon Boy fanatical there, I think. Yeah.
I don't know what that means. Yes.
Yeah, but it's interesting because already by this conversation, I'm kind of curious to see how it's going to develop.
Yeah.
Already, like how it's going to unfold as sort of, I would a reality program to say, okay, well, let's follow. Sort of like when somebody takes a picture of themselves once a year, every year for the rest of their lives.
Right, the Project 365.
Project 365, something like that. So, well, we'll see with hindsight, perhaps, like just how good of a project this was. Yeah.
Yeah, you can follow it certainly on Catholic Underground. I'm sure as we follow all things on the digital continent, we'll be following this as well. And it's to me, it seems like a really good use of technology to further pro-life awareness. You know,
absolutely.
The idea that you're looking at a picture of a sonogram that is most obviously a person. You know, and so
indeed, yeah.
And so I'm excited to see where it goes, and it'll certainly be cool. Now, Catholic World Report, I didn't even know this, Father Ryan. You put this in the show notes, but Catholic World Report has a new website. I really enjoy reading Catholic World Report. Do you know about it, Roberto?
No, fill me in.
I want to say Catholic World Report, they're not based out of the United States, are they? I want to say... I read some stuff from, I think, is it Ignatius Press? Maybe they are based out of the U.S. They are from Ignatius Press. But it really...
Our Sunday visitor, actually.
Okay. At any rate, it's all part of the same conglomeration. Mm-hmm. But Catholic World Report is a great little news magazine that has in-depth articles in the same way that that you would read like the Catholic Herald, which is the newspaper out of the UK, and even some of the better news magazines in the United States. And it's another Catholic news magazine, a regular quarterly. Is it quarterly? It might be monthly. I don't know.
I think it's monthly. I used to subscribe to it.
Yeah, but really good in-depth articles, and they're loyal to the church and that sort of thing. So they've got a new website, and the website actually doesn't look too bad. And it looks like they're kind of going for a little bit of a blog-type situation with interviews and editorials and stuff. And apparently you can subscribe to their newsletter and also read a little bit about what's going on in their present issues. So make sure you check that out at CatholicWorldReport.com. We'll make sure we have a link in the show notes for that. Father Ryan, I saw this and I knew that you would have it, and that's the new iPhone app, which is the traditional breviary.
Yeah, I actually contacted the guy who does the website Divinum Officium and offered to provide financial support and make it happen to get an app put together. And it turns this is the same guy. Somebody else came to him and basically, I guess, had already finished and he just wanted permission. He said, okay, he's very Italian, by the way. The email, you could just hear him go, hey, I'm Italian. You know?
Let me restate that.
But
sorry, Roberto.
No, those were really good.
Yeah, the app is called Bravarium Meum, which means my breviary, and it is it gives you the option of going all the way back to like the 18-somethings. You can use the modern breviary, or you can use the 1969 breviary, which was the latest update before the new breviary came into effect.
Cool.
The languages are Latin, of course, English, and Hungarian, because, why not? And the app works exactly like iBreviary if you've used that. You push the download button, it downloads a week or so at a time, and you can pray it, and it puts it all together in the right format and figures out what the day is and all that kind of stuff. Remember that priests, according to Pope Benedict, who want to fulfill their obligation by using the old breviary and not the new, have to do it in Latin. You cannot use English. It does not work for your obligation. But anybody, priests included, who want to use the old breviary as a devotional item in whatever language they would like, can do that. And so even if you're a priest or if you're a layperson, you say, what is this thing? Let me give it a go. There are 8 offices every day, and you try going through a day praying them all. It's a lot of work.
True.
But not having to figure out what page to turn to and which one of the 13 ribbons I'm supposed to use now makes it a lot easier, a lot more pleasant. And I love praying the old breviary. It's got some beautiful stuff, especially the Office of Prime. And this app really makes it available to anybody who wants it. The app is free. And also I'll put in the show notes a link to newliturgicalmovement.org. They've actually listed a number of places you can get it online if you don't have an iPad or an iPhone.
Oh, very cool.
Don't want to use an iOS device.
Very nice. Father Ryan, connected to you mentioned devotion. Well, we have the Pope's prayer intentions for the month of June. Now, maybe people don't know this. I don't know. We assume that folks do, but every month the Holy Father puts out his prayer intentions for each month. And so we actually, depending if you belong to the apostleshipofprayer.org, you can get those in an email or in a pamphlet form. But there are intentions to pray for. You know how whenever you want to receive an indulgence, you pray for the intentions of the Holy Father? Well, this is what we're talking about. You can pray for them generally, or you can specifically hear the Pope's general and missionary intention. And so we provide from time to time, as you know, on Catholic Underground, an audio and visual listing of what those are. And so, Father, what is it for June? Because June's the month of the Sacred Heart.
Right. And so the general intention is that priests, united to the heart of Christ, may always be true witnesses of the caring and merciful love of God.
Very nice. And the missionary intention is like it. It has to do with the Holy Spirit, huh?
Yeah, that the Holy Spirit may bring forth from our community's numerous missionary vocations, willing to fully consecrate themselves to the spreading of the kingdom of God.
You know, one of the things that I often wonder is the missionary spirit of the church alive and well? We talk about it all the time. In fact, the Holy Father muses on it from time to time. But I mean, you today was the liturgical feast of St. Charles Lwanga and his companions in Africa, and it got me to thinking as I was reading over some of the martyrology. Do we still have that level of zeal, of missionary zeal? Certainly within developing nations, but especially in our own country, you know, or we have kind of gone slack?
I would venture to say that no. I think that the zeal is there. I think it's we hear less about it than any other topical matters. In the church today or in the news, but the Catholic Church is the largest healthcare provider in Africa. The Catholic Church has come up, has sort of defined the modern mission that have given people in countries in Central and South America options, learning trades and skills that give them options to life of crime or abject poverty, ways of escaping. That's all in there, and I also believe that it's the heart of the church, really. Like the people that are there labor without a tremendous amount of recompense, other than the joy that they feel for assisting and helping others. And a lot of the lessons learned by the modern Catholic missions are being incorporated into secular counterparts as to how to treat people with respect, how to embrace culture, and how to aid and assist people and such. So, no, I just think it's a shame that when people think of the Catholic Church, they tend to think of a collection of prohibitions, you know, that we seem to be constantly reinforcing instead of defenders of the poor. Or people that are constantly saying that, you know, you cannot oppress the meek and such. So no, they're out there, and I think it's stronger than ever. I think that it's just something that has to be added into everything that we do, about just how strong and how potent and how beautiful and alive these missions are.
And I suppose that the fact that there is a specific intention for the missions that the Holy Father offers every month shows that it is indeed active. And of course, without the missionary spirit of the church, we would have no spreading of the gospel. And so perhaps it is alive, and it's just one of those things that doesn't get a whole lot of press, because we just kind of assume that the church that we're in, my parish church or whatever, is it. You know, I think sometimes we can see things rather myopically.
Well, I think for a lot of Catholics, especially in the United States, their entire definition of mission is, oh God, the visiting priest is here and he wants money. You know, and there are just such a finite amount of opportunities that people are given for missionary work. I mean, not many Catholics get to hop on a plane and go to Nicaragua and serve poor people directly. You know, you in Louisiana, we have a leper colony, but frankly, you know, outside of Louisiana, there isn't a place to go and work with the really despondent. You know, I mean, you can go to the suicide hotline, but at a certain level, missionary activity is a rare quantity for a lot of Americans.
Yeah.
And it's not something that you can just say, I'm fired up about the missions, let's go do something. It's almost entirely put $10 in the bucket and I'll go do something on your behalf.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that when people are given the opportunity, they jump on it. They're excited about it.
Oh yeah.
And their hearts are changed and transformed by it. But the opportunity itself is, I think, a bit of a scarcity right now, and that's something that priests and bishops could pay close attention to. And really, it's an opportunity for the laity, because you don't need a priest and you don't need a bishop to get involved with missionary work.
Yeah.
We have people in Louisiana, the Summers Mission Company. They're all over Mexico. They have great relationships with priests and bishops, but they are not. They're lay people. They're lay people doing the missionary work of the church and doing it well.
Yeah, and that's how the work of the apostolate is supposed to build up the kingdom, and that really is a vocation that the laity can really take control of, because it's a beautiful way to express our baptismal call. I know that oftentimes, especially in youth ministry, whenever young people go to a mission trip, they come back changed. They come back with that kind of wider worldview that you would want someone to have, but they also have a worldview that's not simply kind of the consumer worldview that we would get from television, because they've experienced love. Because in any missionary territory you go, you always experience love. You may experience some other things too. You may experience animosity, but they experience giving and receiving love. And of course, that's really what drives the missionary spirit, isn't it? It's love. It's the desire to express the love of Jesus Christ, and the desire too to receive it. And
absolutely,
so, yeah, and
absolutely.
that's basic to it. And so it's beautiful that the Holy Spirit, that the Holy Father wants the Holy Spirit to bring forth from our communities numerous missionary vocations. These perhaps young people who have had an experience of mission work. And I said, maybe I could do something like that, because honestly, we don't think about sending people to the missions. We don't think about missionary vocations all that much. I think,
Father, what you're saying is very good, because in the sacred month of the Sacred Heart is when we really do pay attention to the passionate love of Christ, the love that is willing to suffer, and we really think about the human analog of love. And it's an ideal thing. Obviously, Pope Benedict didn't miss that at all. It's love that drives mission work.
Yeah, and in the chat room, Sim-1 says, "Don't forget that mission is wherever you are, as the poor and those in the margins are with us always." And that's very true. That's very true. You don't have to go outside of your borders, but sometimes they're within your neighborhood. They're within your community. And
that's totally true. It's about spreading the word of God's favor to everyone.
That's right.
So yeah, that's absolutely true. And something really, I think, to give a lot of consideration to with Pentecost. Upcoming as well. So
that's right, because that's an outpouring of the Spirit, which then made the church a mission. So very cool. So it's also, because it's the month of the Sacred Heart, it's also worth noting that a rather serious violation of the passion of Christ, his passionate heart, took place politically within our country, and so we must make acts of reparation as well. Isn't that right, Father Ryan?
For the second year in a row, our president has blasphemed, just disturbingly blasphemed, and said this month, dedicated to the authentic sacrificial love of Christ, should in fact be dedicated to the promotion of homosexual acts and transgender acceptance and other such nonsense. I always think about Charles Lwanga this time of year, because a lot of people don't know this, but in the Office of Readings for today, Charles Lwanga is credited with the king being angry at him because he refused to give in to the king's desire to have homosexual sex with him, and protected the pages in the king's court being advanced on too. And so you have a great martyr to the authentic love of Christ being celebrated at the beginning of this great month, and you have people who probably have good intentions, but who are being used by the enemy to promote a fake, disturbing, perverse form of lust in the name of love. So we have to do reparation in this month, asking God to look with mercy upon those who do not know what they are doing.
That's right, and it's one thing in the sense of acceptance of a person as a human being. That's the one distinction that we have to make very clear.
Absolutely.
Obviously, we are called to accept human beings as human beings. That is basic human dignity. But we cannot condone acts that are not within the natural order. And so we pray for a true understanding of what love is, of what chaste love is, of what celibate love is, and of what marital love is. And all of those things are very important. And so we pray for our president. We pray for those within our society who have not had the good news preached to them in a way that speaks to their heart. Because I firmly believe that even though someone may struggle with same-sex attraction or even biologically with transgender issues and things like that, there is still a way to be smitten by the love of Jesus Christ. Mm-hmm. Absolutely, because that's the basis of our creation. We are created to be loved by our Creator and by His Son. And so we continue to pray for reparation. And we also pray for an unfolding of the Holy Spirit in the lives of those who do, no doubt, suffer with these attractions. And so know that we pray for you, and we certainly invite you to pray along those who are listening and watching us. So very good. Well, you know what I think we're going to do is take a little bit of a break. You're listening to CatholicUnderground.com. We are the Catholic podcast, which is your digital guide to the digital continent. Make sure you stick with us because we're going to be back with our picks of the week coming right up. Alrighty, welcome back to CatholicUnderground.com, the podcast, which is your Catholic guide to the digital continent. I'm Father Chris Decker. Joining me is Father Ryan Humphreys. He's a kind of a nice guy. He's over there in Campbell, Louisiana. And hailing from Toronto, Ontario, Canada, Roberto Very. Hello, Roberto.
Hello, Father.
Yes, and so we didn't want to get all your hopes up and say we're going to go straight to the picks of the week because we want to take time for something that we often call back chat. That's right, and this comes from Chris. Chris says, I have not ever heard this discussed on a podcast, and it would be a great discussion. I have been hearing the Lord's calling to me for a couple of years now. I am a married man who has had a growing urge to serve God in the church in some more meaningful way. I attend church at least weekly. I pray constantly. I was wondering what a person could do to become a deacon. What other ways can a person serve the church better? I want to not only serve God and become an example of faith to my brother or to others, but more importantly, I want to be a better example for my children. Any feedback would be great. God bless and keep up the great work. Well, Chris, it's interesting that you asked because, well, why don't we talk about this as well? The diaconate is one of those things that doesn't get a whole lot of press, and so it's certainly good to talk about. In fact, I would love to see a podcast talking about the diaconate because there is much to discuss. As we know from the Acts of the Apostles, the diaconate really began as an outcropping of the ministry of the bishop, right, of the apostles, and so that's really the first time that we see it within Scripture. And it seemed to, and correct me if I'm wrong, Father Ryan, because I don't know that either of us are Scripture scholars, but at any rate, but there was a very pragmatic role that deacons seemed to take in the early church, namely the distribution of food. And then slowly that became more and more of a liturgical role as well as a role that is aligned towards service. Diakonia, of course, is Greek for service.
Right. I think the very, very first time is early in the book of Acts when the deacons are with the money. The apostles don't want to hold the money anymore, and so the deacons are responsible for passing that out. And then later that develops into they bring the St. Paul says they bring the consecrated bread, the Holy Eucharist, to those who are unable to attend for whatever reason. And then as the sacrament of baptism and confirmation, which were combined at that time, developed, deacons had a role to play in that as well, because very, very early on, only the bishop would baptize. And so the deacons had to do all the preparatory work, not the instruction, but the work of, getting the people into the right place at the right time. They were wranglers of sorts. They wrangled people. And it wasn't until, my understanding is significantly later, that there was a liturgical role proper to the deacon. I think that was as late as 300 to 400 AD before there was a clear sense of a liturgical role for a deacon.
Yeah. And so to kind of address Chris's question in terms of, the question before that is, I want to serve God and the church in some more meaningful way as a married man. And he wants to know what a person can do to become a deacon. I guess you could almost begin with, how can you serve the church as a married man in a more meaningful way? He says, I attend church weekly. I pray constantly. What else can I do?
I would say that if you're a dad, be a good dad. I tend to tell people, because just because you feel fired up does not mean that there is necessarily a particular call that God has put for you. You have to live the call to holiness first, and then if God calls you to something, that very well can happen. Pray about it. If the Lord is leading you to instruction or education, then go toward that. If the Lord is leading you to evangelization, there are a lot of spectacular lay people who are doing all kinds of amazing stuff, from web video to web audio to teaching in their parishes, doing RCIA. And I'm not discouraging religious vocation, but realize that you don't need to be ordained as a cleric in order to do that work of God. And that good work of God is proper to the lay state. And so that would be my first thing I would say. You've really got to dive into living your life as it is right now, the best possible way. Second, get a spiritual director and ask that individual to help you with it, and get in touch with the vocation director, the one who's in charge of deacon for your diocese, and ask him about the process, but don't run toward it just to run toward it. There's a lot of guys I know, who are excited and enthusiastic, and they go to seminary, and after about 2 years, they go, I'm not called a religious life at all. I just want to serve God, and now I know more accurately how I can do that. And that's part of any authentic discernment.
Exactly, and that goes even before specifically ordination. Because the first call is to holiness of life.
Right.
Yeah. Roberto, is it?
One comment. No, my friends in the Basilian community in Toronto, and I'd asked them about this as well, had said, with regards to a lay diaconate, it was somebody who's married as well. It's important that the whole family is on board with this decision to serve as a deacon as well. So it's a whole roundtable where everybody's, because the responsibility is tremendous, and everybody's going to be a part of this. So that's a big thing too, is just to check and make sure that everybody is on board with this and prepared and willing to undergo the spiritual journey.
That's right. Yeah. And I think Father Ryan's words are well taken. If you're a dad, be a good dad, and first plug into the baptismal call, because as we were talking about missionary work a little bit earlier, the laity really are on the front lines of being the missionaries of the church, and it is your job to be first of all an evangelizer, one who goes out into the world and makes holy the mundane, makes holy the everyday, and then from there, that is usually where the Lord begins to place these things upon your heart. The call to the diaconate, even though there's still a lot that we can't say about a call to the diaconate, because historically there's not a whole lot, talking about the call to the diaconate, so much as there is a call to priesthood, to ministerial priesthood. But if indeed the call is to a diaconate, because we obviously men have been called to that, they have to have been, because we've got them, But the Lord almost always begins to unfold His call, as it sounds like you're doing, Chris, as you're doing the work of evangelization, as you're entering into the world and saying, there is something that is moving within my heart. And so one of the best things that you can do is to listen to what that voice, that inner voice of love, is saying. And as Father Ryan says, spiritual director is a great way to begin that process, because he can kind of help to reflect and resonate some of those things. And he can also be a good challenger too, you know. So if you have a local Basilian parish, you can just head on down there and ask for a spiritual director or an oratory. I have to say, once again, I'm a little jealous that Roberto has all of these beautiful religious communities like right down the road from him, or within a very short drive.
Well, regardless, I'm sure anywhere lines are open.
That's right. That's exactly.
People are happy to take your call. Yeah,
that's right.
No, for sure.
Clerics are standing by. Yeah, that's exactly right. So we hope that helps you out somewhat, Chris. In fact, there's plenty that we could say on discernment as well, and maybe we will in a future podcast about priestly discernment and how you can begin the dialogue with somebody who maybe comes up to you and says, you know what, I'm thinking about priesthood, or I'm thinking about the diaconate. So stay tuned to CatholicUnderground.com for that. Alrighty, just by way of self-referential matters, you know, some of our shameless self-promotion, we're now on YouTube. So if you go down to CatholicUnderground.com, go on down to CatholicUnderground.com, scroll to the bottom, and you'll see the YouTube button. You can pick up our episodes on YouTube if you want to embed them on your website, which we're happy to have you do. And we've also started recording our picks of the week as a separate little section there, so it's a little more condensed if you want to have that, so you can get that. So that's all on YouTube. The channel is Catholic Underground. And beginning next week, this is kind of big news actually, we're going to be going on television. We will actually be on digital TV channel 16.3 in Minneapolis, Minnesota, beginning Monday evenings at 8 p.m. Central Time. So if you're in the Minnesota area and you're watching us, we want to welcome you to the Catholic Underground family. We're kind of excited. What's the laughter for there, Roberto?
It's wonderful. It's wonderful. Go Gophers. Go Gophers.
Okay. Are the Gophers our official mascot? Why not?
Golden Gophers.
That's right.
The Minnesota Golden Gophers.
That's right.
That's the motto of the entire state.
That's right. Go Gophers. Yeah. So if you're in Minneapolis, Minnesota, welcome to the Catholic Underground family. It's nice to be with you, actually, if you're watching us. So hopefully this will be the beginning of a beautiful friendship over there on channel 16. So 16.3. You know, we gotta.
So confused.
You got to start somewhere.
I'm so confused.
That's a great place to start.
No, do you know what 16.3 means, Father?
No.
Okay, once analog switched to digital, right? You
Yeah.
can actually multicast on one digital signal. So you can have channel 16, channel 16.2, channel 16.3, and your digital remote control will pick up all of those over your digital antenna. And so basically what the television station here, channel 16, has done is they are simulcasting at least 3 different networks. One of them is EWTN, and one of them I would imagine is probably going to be some more local and specialized programming, but they're doing it on all their sub-channels.
It would seem
It's actually a great name for a rock band, too, 16.3.
Yeah. And sub-channel.
Oh, yeah, I was thinking sub-channels. That, of course, if I were a rapper, I would be DJ sub-channels.
I think you'd have to be.
Yeah, you know. And I would have an underscore in my name somewhere.
That's right. Yeah, hey, wouldn't we all?
It would be between the 2 ends.
That's right. Also, by way of self-promotion, I'm holding in my hands the new Catholique Poster. This is fresh off the press, and so if you'd like a stack of them, let us know. You can email us. Email Josh at CatholicUnderground.com, or just go to the Catholicon Expo website, CatholiconExpo.com, and you can actually print your own. Or if you need to get in touch with us, you can use the contact form, and we'll send you some posters. You can see these are actually very, very good material. They're quite solid. So we're excited, and we want to make sure that you can get these so that you can put them up in your parish or place of business, if indeed it is legal to do so. I don't see why it wouldn't be if you own it. So there you go. We're really excited about that, and I'll send you some, Roberto.
Nice looking posters.
They turned out pretty well. I'm happy with them.
They sure did. Yeah.
Yeah, and anything that I design that ends up on cardstock, I'm just excited about. So it works out. It works out well for me. Yeah. Once again, Catholicon Expo coming up in August. The cost is $35. It's in Houston, Texas. Catholicon Expo. We're going to make sure we put that in the show notes for you. We're very excited about that. All righty. Well, let's just kind of move on along here, because if we didn't, we wouldn't be the Catholic Underground. So let's make sure we move on over to the CU Pick of the Week. And for our first CU pick of the week, why don't we go over to Father Humphreys? This is one that we've actually picked before, but it's worth picking again.
Yeah, with the new translation of the Mass coming, and with the enormous question of music starting to boom more and more significantly, Father Chris, I'm sure you're working on figuring out what music, what Mass settings your parish will be doing, what they're going to have to learn. It's going to be difficult to learn because you can't do any of it until it actually starts in Advent. And some of these masses are not cheap. Some of them you may end up having to pay significant amounts of money to get the right missal, or the right missalette, or I should say the right hymnal, or to get the right pew cards. Well, the fine folks over at Corpus Christi Watershed have 5 or 6 separate projects going on, and they're teamed up with an awful lot of really talented musicians who are just pumping out mass parts left and right. Really well-written stuff. Some of it sounds more chantish, some of it sounds more popish, some of it sounds more medievalish, but they're producing an enormous amount of very inexpensive, high-quality music, on top of the fact they're also just really talented musicians. And so whether you're interested in music, whether you're interested in the sacred liturgy, whether you're interested in the new translation, fine people at Corpus Christi Watershed have you covered. It's a great place to go. It's at ccwatershed.org. On a quick side note, nobody but me is interested in this, but I feel like I should say it anyway. Those of you who are fans of Dr. Richard Feynman, one of the great nuclear physicists of our era, all of the Feynman lessons, all the Feynman
lectures?
Lectures, thank you. All the Feynman lectures are now on Audible, and they are spectacular. I've been listening to them for some weeks now, and I love Richard Feynman, but they're very, very geeky. This is full-on, nuclear physics. But all of them are there. They're very reasonably priced. Audibletrial.com/Catholic Underground. You can help us out with them. But spectacular. I think that's not even our Audible pick of the week. But if you're into nuclear physics, if you're into big science, check those out. Richard Feynman, the Feynman lectures are fascinating.
Very cool. Roberto, do you have a pick of the week? I know it's short notice.
I do have a pick of the week. I've been going through the Catholic Cookbook.
Yes.
Which you might know. You know the Catholic Cookbook?
Feasting and fasting along with your friends.
Feasting and fasting, yeah. The Catholic Cookbook by William Kaufman and tested, of course, in Louisiana. And, of course, let me see if I've got it here. Hold that right up. The Feast Day Cookbook by Catherine Burton and Helmut Rippinger. They're back in print, or you can find a nice used copy.
Is this your doing? Are you responsible for having them back in print? Because I know you love these books.
I love these books are fantastic. We could use an update, and I find that there's just nothing contemporary that has nothing contemporary that has used these books as sort of a springboard in which to do something modern. So I'd say go with these and modernize them yourself. And that's what I'm proposing to do now. The 2 recipes that come up in the book for Pentecost coming up. One is a sponge cake called Bocca di Dama, or the mouth of a dame, the mouth of a woman, of a lady, which is pretty much a sponge cake, got nuts, got some almonds in it, and
there's a joke in there somewhere. I'm not gonna.
It's served in Italy, and then in the more ambitious Whit Sunday or Rose Sunday out of the UK, there's a recipe for gooseberry pudding, a cobbler. It's got or maybe like a bread pudding, because I understand you're all big on bread puddings down there. This is crumbs and gooseberries and you bake and stuff. So in these instances where we're lacking on certain types of foods that might help us to better celebrate or get together around the day of Pentecost, I'm just throwing this out to our listener and viewership to come up with some of your own. Is it taking rose petals and putting them on a bowl of your cereal on Sunday because it's Pentecost? Does it involve
sprinkling them?
Is it a flambe? Is it something where you ignite in a dark room and then all go outside? After which, I'll leave. Is it spicy like Tabasco? I'll leave that all up to you. But what we'd like is some simple sort of a recipe for Pentecost, sort of in keeping with the theme of the day, that you can send us at CatholicUnderground.com. So there we are.
Very good. Yeah,
we want your Pentecost recipes.
You can send it to Backchat, or you can actually put it in the comment box where this episode appears on the CatholicUnderground.com website. So that's a great idea, Roberto. Yeah, I continue to think that we should get you as a permanent blogger on CatholicUnderground.com and start sharing some of these recipes.
I keep threatening to, don't I? Oh yeah.
One of these days. Bang Zoom.
Soon. I will. I promise. But I'd love to do that. Absolutely.
Very cool. Well, yes, and
maybe right after I perfect my Pentecost recipe.
Oh, there you go. That's right. Once you've left your house, not because the fire department is there, but because
yeah, I've gotten enough rose petals to make my.
That's right, or at least to put out the fire. Very cool. My pick of the week is Hype 1.0 for HTML5. It purports to be a user-friendly keyframe animation system so that you can create and record objects that move across the screen and animate. So basically you can create your own interactive, animated HTML5 CSS3 compliant website, but all within the confines of this great little program. I love it because it reminds me of most of the motion graphic software that I use. And the only thing I haven't had a chance to do with it yet is I haven't had a chance to see a site go live, but I've designed plenty of things, and it works really well. And it works great in most of the browsers that I've tested it in. I've been thinking about using it for some experimental stuff on CatholicUnderground.com, but I haven't gotten that far yet. So Hype 1.0, the HTML5 interactive web content tool, is my pick of the week. If you've got a pick of the week, let us know. Backchat at CatholicUnderground.com is the way to do it. Do we have an Audible pick of the week, Father Ryan? Oh, we do, and I like this one.
We do. audibletrial.com/CatholicUnderground. The Power and Glory by the infamous Graham Greene. This is a fantastic audiobook, and in fact, I liked listening to it better than I enjoyed reading it. It is narrated by one of their finest readers, and it is a compelling story about the grace that is found in the dirtiness of daily life in the midst of struggle, and it's a great classic book. It is 9 hours in length. Regularly, it's going to cost you $20, but if you sign up with audibletrial.com/CatholicUnderground, you're going to get a drastically discounted option. Now, also, if you sign up for their basic plan, their gold plan, you get a free audiobook every month. And I just found this out, Father Chris. You can get a free subscription to the New York Times or the Wall Street Journal audio edition every day. That's a daily production. So if you have a Kindle, if you have an iPod, if you want to listen to it on the computer and download it to burn it to a CD, you can listen to the Wall Street Journal or the New York Times read to you each and every day, and that comes with this
this 2-week trial
we're giving you. So definitely consider audibletrial.com/CatholicUnderground. Look up The Power and the Glory by Graham Greene. You'll definitely enjoy reading it. If you're already an Audible customer, you can get a discounted rate on that. If you're not an Audible customer, it's going to cost you $20 American to get. But if you are, it's going to be a thing for you. So I hope you enjoy it. The Power and the Glory, Graham Greene. Very
cool. Roberto, do you know of the book, The Power and the Glory?
No, I don't.
We had to read it in the seminary. It's really you, I think, would really enjoy it. There's a character known as the Whiskey Priest, who really warms the hearts of all who read. He's kind of the main character.
Hook me up.
Oh yes, indeed. Well, I'll have to send it to you in post.
I'll come down and collect it at Catholicon.
Perfect. That's exactly right. That's great. Yeah. So audibletrial.com/CatholicUnderground is the way to go for that. Alrighty. Well, if you want to get links to our Twitter feed, and if you want to get links to the Facebook page and all of that stuff, as well as see some live video from Salt and Light Television, you want to see all of that, our video podcasts, our picks of the week, everything, check out CatholicUnderground.com without delay. It's all there, and we won't even bore you anymore with listing these things because it's all on the website, brand new, relaunched, and it's pretty nice if I do say so myself, and I do. If you want more information on registering for Catholicon, you can go to CatholiconExpo.com. That's CatholiconExpo.com. Buy your tickets now. Remember, the tickets are going to go up after July 13th. They're going to go up to their normal rate, but right now you can get them for $35 American. And you can also get some really good rates on the hotel room there at the Houston Intercontinental. We're really excited about that.
I better book, yeah.
Yeah, I know. I need to book too. It's getting to be that time, folks. Yeah. So make sure you go and give us some love there by purchasing your ticket and get the room, and you will be sitting in butter. We will all be ready to go. I hear sitting in butter is a pleasing thing, if indeed. I don't know.
Leave that to you.
That's right. Anyway, so that's a way to go. So let's put a bow on this, shall we? Father Ryan has a church, and the best thing about it is it's online. Well, besides the fact that he says the Mass regularly.
You can check the whole Eucharist each and every day.
There's all that. CampdenCatholicChurch.com. All of his personal poster on Twitter, he is at FR Humphreys. Thank you, Father Ryan.
It's been my pleasure.
Also joining us, Roberto Veri. He is an all-around Canadian, and he's one of our favorite people. He is a radio and TV producer, an amateur beef butcher, and he's hoping...
And in the center of this cleric sandwich.
That's right. You are in the center of this cleric sandwich, and we want him to have his forthcoming food blog, Get Up and Eat. Any plans there?
Yes.
Good.
Yes. We'll discuss after the show. Yes.
Oh,
you can nail me down to a date, and I'll get it. I swear.
Very good. Well,
There it is.
stick around for the post show, folks, and in the live chat, and you'll get more of that. Alrighty, I'm Father Chris Decker. You know me. You can follow me on Twitter at Digital Catholic. Thanks for tuning in and hanging around this digital continent with us. We are CatholicUnderground.com, and we are Faith Gone Digital. We'll see you next time.
From the Catholic Underground.